Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rise and Slay Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay, or Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. And y'all, if you have done amazing things and you're asking the question, now what? This conversation is for you. So come on in, y'all. We're going to really fire up this discussion this morning. So let me know where you're streaming in from. Give us your name so I can give you a shout out, okay? Because it's a good day. Happy Tuesday, okay? And so for all of us here in Slay Nation, we are trailblazers, change agents, those that are making a difference and bring an impact into this world. And so you've already either moved your body or you're going to be planning and scheduled to move your body this morning. And this morning, y'all, I did my 45-minute boot camp workout and I was slaying it, okay? This 53-year-old body was moving up an incline and lifting heavy weights. So I feel so good. I feel blessed, be able to continue to do that. So as you come in, please again, let me know where you're streaming in from. So what do we start this conversation with? We started with the word slay. Slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, and to dream big and work hard until you own it. And so you believe in it, you trust in it. And so that is where you start from every single day. Now, we also have created it into a framework that you can use every single day as you're guided into slay mode. And this is where we take all of our accomplishments and we turn it into visible work. Those things that we are pursuing, they become evident, I guess. They're of fruition. You have said, this is what I want to do. And now things are happening where they're actually making a meaningful purpose for yourself. And so this method is the SLAY method. S stands for strategic identity, L stands for leadership presence, A stands for aesthetic authority, and Y is your narrative power. In each phase of this framework, you get to see yourself in a different life. This is all transformational work. I do one-on-one consultations. I also provide training or presentations to organizations. I do a lot of speaking, y'all. I am an author of several books, some of them being displayed here behind me, and also a proud United States Air Force veteran. So some of the things that I speak to are from my lessons, my experiences, my expertise from that background. And now I have been able to create some platforms. So I have the Rise and Slay talk show where we're at right now at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesdays. And then on Sunslays, we have the Slay to Success talk show at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I bring in a guest, or if I don't have a guest, for whatever reason, you will see me again, okay? Because I enjoy speaking. I call myself a transformational speaker, media personality, and so you will see me on several platforms. Okay, with all that being said, I just want you to know you have done amazing things, okay? If no one has told you that in a while or ever, I'm telling you right now, you've done amazing things, especially if you've been in a career or business or community leadership for a long time. I'm talking about, more than 20 plus, okay? And now you are looking at converting that experience, the lessons that you have learned into impact. Okay, so we're going to be doing a series. So today, this series is about what you have done, all right, and how you can start to think about what you can do in this next season. I'll share a little bit about my journey, if you will. But this is going to be called the Experience to Influence series. So we're going to have 4 episodes, all right? So, they're going to be coming, every Tuesday if I am here, okay, because sometimes things get scheduled on Tuesday mornings, but we're going to go through the 4 episodes together. So we're going to discuss this challenge that I have seen in myself, all right? I do know that I was in a career, and I was able to gain success in that career. I accomplished many things. So, based on my experiences, those that I have been able to work one on one with, executives, they're entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and so forth. And every one of us has accomplished a lot. Okay. So I'm in my office right now, and on my walls, I have all of these plaques, all of these pictures, things that I have been given over my career, which tells me that I was highly accomplished. All right. And I realized after, I retired, that there were so many things, so many milestones, so many achievements that I received. And a lot of times I just received it and then just moved on to the next and then really not thinking about it. But because now I have put everything up in this office, I kind of see how I progressed in the career. So we've accomplished a lot, like I said before, but now we have to understand how to leverage it. All right. So maybe you've retired like me, and then people look at you with, you know, 10 heads, if you will, when you tell them that you retired before the age of 50. Those are some stories I could share about, what people have said to me. However, maybe you've changed careers. Maybe you came from one career that you were working so long in, and then you decided, hey, I want to do something differently. I certainly have done that too. Maybe you're starting a business. I started a business without any formal education or any formal experience in business. Maybe you've earned a promotion, right? If you're in the corporate world, or if you're in the military or federal space, you've earned a promotion, or maybe even written a book, okay, or started a podcast. Anything in the vein of your accomplishments, and now you're not sure how to leverage it. So the question becomes, how do I turn everything that I've learned into opportunities? Every single thing. How do you do that? All right. Again, I kind of stumbled upon it, and I realized that I was really good at speaking. And others said that I was good at speaking. So I just said, well, let me explore the industry of speaking. All right. I've not had formal training in speaking, but I had lots of experience. I'll take that back. I did take a public speaking course for my community college of the Air Force degree, which is something that everyone in the military, well, I could just speak on the Air Force, have to take to get their community college of the Air Force, which we call CCAF degree. But then after that, I just started talking and speaking. Every now and again, I would go to a Toastmasters meeting or whatnot, but I just practiced over and over and over again. And I love to talk. So that's how I got into speaking. And that's how, sometimes I get booked 3 to 5 times a month on just speaking alone. But I learned that I had to turn all of those things that I learned through speaking into those opportunities that I am um, eh, receiving right now. And so let's just talk about this, because I think so many of us have the ability to do what I am doing in your own unique way, based on the experiences that you had that you really were great at, and turning it into either a business or to a nonprofit, or elevating your career. Like, we all have the ability to do that. So let's just gonna talk through this. Hey, good morning, Chevy. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here live with me on the Rise and Slay Talk Show. It just seems like I was just here, which I was. But however, it's on a different show, and we're talking about a different subject tonight. And you also said we had a lot of training on speaking while in the Air Force, all the presentations and impromptus. Yeah, it's like hey, we want you to speak on XYZ. And you're like, what? I wasn't even planning to do that today. Well, you are now. So yeah, we were good for it, right? Because it did keep you on your toes. It did help you to refine the skill. It gave you a voice. It allowed you to speak in different rooms to different people. Um, so I always encourage every business owner to have a speaking um, uh, pillar, so that way you can go and speak on your business or whatnot, or speak in rooms when you have to introduce yourself, and practice over and over again. So many of us spend decades, okay, collecting accomplishments. Like I said, I'm looking around in my office. I got so many things that speaks to my accomplishments, and I know you do too. But very few of us spend time converting those accomplishments into assets. Okay. We don't spend enough time doing it. We have done the career, we put a period on it, and we move on. And we don't really think about how we can utilize those accomplishments and turn it into an asset. So, for example, maybe you manage a team of like 300 people. Okay. Great. How does that translate into consulting, speaking, maybe even coaching, board service, mentoring, or even leadership development? Start thinking about it, all right? Maybe you led major projects, okay? How does that become thought leadership then? Maybe you served 20 or 30 years in the military like myself. How does that become a personal brand? This this tool that I have been using, a personal brand, has opened up so many doors for me, because I did not look at what everyone else was doing. I decided to go out on my own, pursue business on my own. But the one thing that I started to notice that I have gotten down pretty good is my personal brand. I have the sleigh, okay, which is the message or the vision that I want, everything that I do to come from. And then everything from head to toe is in alignment with sleigh. So when people see me, they connect right away with the sleigh. But I have built an ecosystem where you can put Slay to Success in the Google search, and it comes up with me. And so I didn't want to hide behind the business. I wanted to be in front of the business. But I really think the personal brand tool has really been able, for me, um, I created this personal brand based off my military career. Now, the accomplishments in themselves isn't the opportunity. It's really the lesson behind the accomplishment. Okay. So here are 3 questions that you can start to ask yourself. All right. So if you're jotting down notes, or if you got your phone and you got your note app up, this is probably where you want to go ahead and fill this in or write it out. So, question number 1, when I started out, and now I share with the clients that I work with and have them go through this exercise, is what problems have I solved repeatedly, over and over and over again? Okay. So I want you to think about your entire career, your entire leadership, experience, your entire business journey. What problems have you solved repeatedly? People don't pay for your title. People don't pay me for Chief Master Sergeant. All right. I have made that very clear as I've been refining and refreshing my brand, that that was an old title. All right. Now, when I do go into military spaces, like only military spaces, they still use that title. But for me, when I start to introduce myself, I introduce myself as Rochelle and not the title. Okay, so they don't pay me for my title. They're paying me for the ability to solve a problem. And the problem that I'm solving is this gap between being highly accomplished to influence. All right, because accomplishment and influence are not the same thing. And a lot of times we think our work is going to speak for itself. And I'll tell you, in these days, in this new era, that is not what's happening. Okay. So I'm closing the gap. And that's through the strategic identity, leadership presence, the aesthetic authority, and your narrative power, right? So as you think about it, what challenges do people consistently come to you for? What are those? Because it could be either be leadership, it could be communication, it could be building teams, project management, confidence, strategic planning, any other number of things. But really like dial into what people have been coming to you about for years. For me, again, I knew people were coming to me when they were seeking confidence. They always would say that you're so fearless, you're so bold, you just talk about things, you just continue to, elevate the conversation. Your energy is off the chain. Like they want some of that. Like people pay for energy, believe it or not. So, what is it that people consistently come to you for? And Chevy says people pay you for business development, consulting, and facilitation, which creates change and impact for them. Absolutely. Right. So you know what it is that people come to you for. And so that answer reveals your greatest asset. That is your asset. All right. People come to me and pay for me to come speak, to deliver presentations, to do one-on-one work, so that way they can build their personal brand, so that it is a memorable and unforgettable brand, to pursue their dreams, the plans, the goals that they have for their next season. And in this next season, I said, you know what? There's no cap. There's no limit. I had a limit. I was capped when I was in service to a certain rank and to a certain position. I knew that when I came out here into the world, that things could be different. And I just said, let me take a leap of faith. Let me take a chance. Let me invest in myself. Let me just put myself out there and see what happens. And so we just go through that together to find out what that is for you. People come to you when they want change and when they want results. Absolutely. I co-sign to that. Yes, they do, Queen. Okay. So we have to realize what it is that people come to us for, because that, again, is our greatest asset. All right. So that was question number 1. All right. We got 3 questions. All right. So question number 2, what do people constantly ask you for advice about? What do people constantly ask you advice about? Okay. Because this is one of the easiest ways to identify your expertise. So, looking back into my career, and people would constantly ask me, how do I show up the way that I do and be very consistent with the way that I showed up, which was, from head to toe. And they always used to tell me, you look so put together. And I said, it is a system. Okay. I have created a way I could work out, and I still use this system to this day. I can work out and get dressed underneath 30 minutes. All right. Now, when I was in uniform, it'd be less than 30 because you didn't have all the extra accessories. Like I got this necklace and these earrings and all this bracelet. I didn't have all that to worry about. All right. But I could literally get dressed and ready to go and look the military image well put together in a small period of time. People would always ask me how they could do that for themselves as well. I'm talking about I had makeup on. I mean, I didn't wear as much makeup as I did when I was in uniform, of course, but now I have this opportunity to help other women figure out their personal brand style. And I am having so much fun with it. In fact, I got my certification as an image consultant because I like the idea of styling. But then when I found out that image consulting was more than just the appearance, it's the behaviors, the communication skills, and the digital presence, I said, let me master these 4 areas. Okay, because I feel like that was my calling. This has been my purpose. I love getting all dolled up. Believe in me, y'all. All right. My bank account says it too. I'm like, how much can I use to get said outfit, right? To speak to the environment for where I'm going into, which has been such a beautiful journey for me because it got me out of the military mindset of, you got to always be camouflage and not always look feminine. So I get to express my femininity now more than I used to. But what do people constantly ask you advice about? So you just pay attention to what people ask you. Maybe when they ask you, you take your phone, all right, because we all got our phones. I got my phone right here. And we take our phone and we put it into our notes and say, like, just label it questions people ask me. And then you'll start to see a trend, all right? And then that is the expertise, okay? So you've got to really pay attention to what people ask you, not once, but repeatedly. And those questions often point directly to your area of influence. Okay. Thank you, Queen. Listen, I'm mastering these areas because I know for me, that is what has been driving the opportunities. And so think about it. Okay. These are the things that are going to point directly to your area of influence. And that's what we want in this community. All right. We are influencers. We show up and we affect the decisions that are being made. Maybe we have never been in these particular rooms, but when we show up and we start speaking, we're looking put together, we're ready, to be there. They lean on you. They come to you and they say, you know what, based on the information that we have received from whoever, that being you, that we're going to do some things differently. All right. I wanted to make a lot of noise as a woman veteran. I started to hear that women veterans were getting a bad rep. I don't know where this came from, but it was like, some people just don't think that women should serve in the military, period. Okay. And then when you retire, then they feel some sort of a way like, well, you should have stayed in, or why did you go in the first place? Or, we don't believe in women serving in the military. I mean, I don't know. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to change that narrative. All right. And I know that I have so much more in me to give. So that's why I continue to show up. Okay. So question number 1, like we said before, was what problems have you solved repeatedly? And question number 2 is what do people constantly ask you advice about? Okay. So now we're on question number 3. What part of your journey could help someone else move forward? Okay. What part of your journey could help someone else move forward? So for me, this is a deep wound. And I think for many of us, this is where we have had a lot of pain. And then we have seen how we came out on the other side of it. Being rejected as a high enlisted leader. Because I when I found out that I made chief, master sergeant, which is E9, highest enlisted grade in the Air Force, I was rejected in so many different ways. I was denied. And so I also realize there's a trend of those that come to me. Something happened in their career where they may have left bitter. They went through a hard time in their career and never recovered from it. And now they want to, do a hard pivot and do something differently, but they're going to take all of what they have accomplished and, put their energy into making it something that they could help others to draw out from. So that for me is one of my storylines that I share because I think it's important for people to see hope. Okay, there's a lot of people who are struggling in their careers, struggling in their business, struggling in community leadership, whatever that is. And so if you have a story that you struggled with or was, feeling like, wow, I don't think I'm going to come out on the other side. And it took me a while to recover from my particular incident. It took a minute. All right. It was like, I don't know, I say about 6 months. And so when everyone else was enjoying the news of them being promoted, I was in a lot of internal pain. I had a lot. And I started to think about like, some very dark thoughts, like I'm not good enough. I should have never, tried to make chief master sergeant. This is not what I planned it for to be for me. Um, I'll just go ahead and turn down the strike because I just don't want this, right? And then I realized that when you are doing well, extremely well, you're going to face adversity. Okay. Someone or some things are going to come up against you and tell you no. And so I knew then, after speaking to some other women, that it had been happening for them. And so I'm like, okay, well, how can I turn this? This is when I really lean into Slay, discover Slay. It's just a whole big story after that. Hey, Glory. How you doing, Queen? Thank you so much for being here live with me this morning. I hope you're doing well, feeling good, and happy Tuesday, Queen. Okay. Um, so, what part of your journey could help someone else move forward? Because your story contains lessons. Those mistakes can contain lessons. All right. I did make some mistakes because of my response to being denied. And I was exerting way too much energy when it was not my battle. Okay. It was because I believe in God, it was God's battle. And I didn't hand it over to him. I was trying to do whatever I could to dig myself out of it or to rebuild my reputation. But then I realized afterwards, like, Queen, that wasn't for you. Okay. So there, and those setbacks, all right, the setbacks was also lessons for me. It had me paused. Okay. And again, God works in mysterious ways. He does. And so when I was in this pause, I ended up getting the deployment. And it really like had me thinking about my entire career, my entire life as a whole. I had been serving for most of my adult life. And now you get to the pinnacle and you think everything is going to be smooth sailing. And it really opened my mind up to this is kind of how life is. You're going to have setbacks. You're not going to always have smooth transitions. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to try to get a hold of it, right? So I just said, okay, how can I help other women who are very accomplished like myself to not sit in that? All right, because we got work to do. We We got so much work to do. So true. Hey, Lashima, how you doing, Queen? I just love that you're here. And yes, one day we're going to meet soon. I know I made the comment already on LinkedIn, but I can't wait for us to actually meet in person. So thank you so much, Queen, for being here live on this Tuesday, Rise and Slay. Okay, and Chevy says, thank you for your transparency because many other ambitious people are dealing with rejections, doubt, etc. Yeah. And it started to get a hold of me, but then the pause was actually going on the deployment and really thinking through. So now I use my experience to connect to other people because it speaks more than the credentials. Okay. I got degrees, I got certifications, I have all of these things that I can leverage, right? But people don't just connect to the credentials. They want to hear about your experiences. They want to know what you did, all right, to get to where you're at right now. So we are also going to create these columns, okay? So I know I'm a little bit over the half hour, so we're going to close this up in a little bit. So if you are really serious, okay, about learning more about how to turn these experiences into influences, create 3 columns. One column is going to be your accomplishments, one is your skills that you're developing, and the next column is the problems that you can solve. All right. And you're going to see opportunities differently. I know I've done it for myself, and I was like, oh, wow. Like I am now in the personal branding space. I'm in career transitioning. I speak to executive presence, leadership development, right? I can solve all these problems based on the method that I have created. And so I have literally put all of my energy into it, and it has done extremely well with these opportunities. And I just say, wow, I didn't know that this was for me. Okay, so most of us don't simply talk about what we've done, all right? We need to communicate the value of what we learned. So instead of saying I served for X amount of years, or I worked in corporate for X amount of years, or in the industry for X amount of years, ask yourself, what did those years teach you that you can help others today? All right. Now, again, here in Slay Nation, we have done the long careers. We are shifting from one to the next. Maybe we're going into community leadership, into like a political space. Now we get to really ask ourselves, what do these years teach me that can really help others today? That's where the influence is actually going to begin. So that is today's show. Next episode, we're going to come back and I'll have another topic for us to talk about. And this is the series From Experience to Influence. So I'm going to also put up the QR scan code for y'all, because if you're not following and tracking, please continue to follow me. I send out emails. Sometimes they're every other day, sometimes they're every day, just depending on what is happening. This is going to be one of the ways that you can stay connected to me. I have my books, of course, Elevate Your Image. This one right here, y'all, is the guidebook that I have written because I really felt like when we start to really think about our image in this next season and being different, not saying we're changing ourselves, but we are rebranding ourselves. This is about our image and what we want to be perceived by. So, I'm always telling people start there, but on the QR scan code, you can also connect and see all the other resources that are available. And so I want you to continue to connect with me and to follow my journey. This is all about, helping each other to elevate our voices, elevate our brands and in such different ways. And knowing that our next opportunities may not come from doing more, it may be from better communicating the value of what we already done. Okay. So I will see you on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Slay to Success Talk Show. And then I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to have another topic. Thank you so much, Queen, for being here and for your feedback. I appreciate you. And yes, I'm looking forward to it too, Queen. Okay. It's going to be a great day. It will be a great day. So of course, keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And I will talk to you all very soon. Love you. Thank you so much for being here. Take care and have a slay amazing week. Bye-bye.
Yeah.